This is Jason with Chicago News, and today is a treat. We've got the 2017 Mazda MX-5 Miata. One of my favorite cars, and we're on one of my favorite stretches of road here in the Chicago area. The Miata has evolved over the years, but it's always stayed true to its roots, which is lightweight, front-engine, rear-drive, manual transmission sports car, and we love it. We all know it's a beautiful car, but let's hop in and have some fun with it. So here we are out on the road with one of my favorite cars of all time, and I say that because I've got a lot of history with Miata. I started out racing Miata in 2004, the first generation Miata, and then transitioned into the mid-generation, the NC Miata, and here we have an ND Miata. So I've been around all three generations, and I've got literally thousands of miles behind the wheel on a racetrack in these cars, and this is a car that's equally at home on the street as it is on the racetrack. Really, for Mazda, this is their brand identity, this car. Their slogan is "Driving Matters," and when you get in this car, you immediately know what they're saying. This is all about driving. The feel that you get, the way that you sit in it. The Miata's always been about lightweight and simplicity. The first Miata was introduced in 1989. And it was kind of an ode to the old British sports car. Very lightweight, small displacement, all about handling. A famous British race car designer, Colin Chapman, who formed the Lotus Formula One team, he once famously said, "Simplify, then add lightness." But another one of his quotes that I love is that power really only makes you faster on the straightaway, but if you can take away weight, it makes you faster everywhere. What Mazda's done here is kind of genius because they've shaved hundreds of pounds off of this versus the previous generation Miata, but at the same time added in a bunch of features and creature comforts. We happen to be in a GT model here, and you have heated seats, you have forward collision alert, you have blind spot monitors, navigation screen, all of the comforts that you might expect in just about any car, but you have them in this lightweight sports car. On paper, this car doesn't seem that exciting. When you see the 155 horsepower number out of this 2-liter Skyactiv engine, you kind of scratch your head and go, well, that can't really be that much fun to drive. But again, going back to the old adage of making the car lighter makes it feel faster, it couldn't be more true. I mean, there's so many cars out there these days that have 300 plus horsepower that don't feel as fast as this car. One of the genius things about Mazda's Skyactiv engine is the variable valve timing. It's continuously variable timing and lift, and it basically allows the engine to have a really wide and broad power band. It's got great torque, and it also, will pull to red line, so it's got the best of both worlds. Even though it's March in Chicago, it's not particularly warm outside. We're in a Miata, we gotta take the top down, and it's that easy. So now that we got the top down, we're on probably the only curvy road here in the Chicago area. Let's see what this thing can do around corners. Right away you feel how lively it is. Just immediately turns in right when you turn the wheel. Crisp handling, excellent brakes, and the balance is fantastic as well. Just a slight little tip of the tail coming out there. Even though we're cruising on a fairly cool day with the top down, if you have the side windows up, the heat actually keeps you warm. The wind all goes across the top, even with my tall head sticking out of here. And it's a comfortable ride. Some of the few complaints that I would have with this 6-speed manual, the actual controls for the infotainment system sit right where my wrists are. So it's really easy to accidentally change the channel or do something with the display when you didn't really intend to. This thing is just so much fun to drive though. It's really direct in everything it does. Engine up front, there's a shifter for the 6-speed manual that pokes right down into the transmission, so it's very direct. Everything about this really connects you with the driving experience. So what do we think of this 2017 Mazda Miata? Well, it's the best one so far. And that's saying a lot because we really love all Miatas, but for the money, there's just no more fun that you can have in a car. What could be better than this 2017 Miata though? Well, how about a hardtop version so you don't have to do this anymore? There's no doubt this newest Miata is the best one to date, but now Mazda's made it even better with this retractable fastback version. Mazda's given us retractable hardtop versions before with a motorized roof, but this is the first time they've given us this fastback, which has a real coupe-like appearance when the top is folded up. When you put the top down, this folds up and the top folds and stores under here. When you're done, essentially you end up with a target top. It's a really unique setup. I really want to show you how this top works, so let's check it out. It only takes about 15 seconds to put the top up, so if it started raining and you're at a light, you could do it. Having driven every single Miata since the very first generation, this is really a refinement of everything that Miata stands for. One of the things you notice immediately when driving this retractable fastback version is it's quieter in just about every situation. Even when the top is down, you've got this target top basically around the back guiding the air. There's a plastic air guard behind here that all of this has clearly been designed to keep the noise down. You can have a normal conversation even with the top down. You know, it's hard to say if the hardtop actually makes the chassis feel any stiffer. The Miata's already got such a great chassis to begin with. Incredible handling, great poise, great steering feel. You really feel connected to the car. But what you get out of this, besides looks, is all year round capability. You know, you can drive your Miata with this hardtop even in the winter. Put a set of snow tires on it, you'll be absolutely fine. You know, the soft top has its drawbacks. It's definitely louder. It's definitely less warm in the winter months. So this is maybe the first year-round Miata and the best looking one to date. One of the other incredible things is even with all of this mechanism for the folding top, there's been no impact in the trunk space. Now, it's certainly not the biggest trunk to begin with, but because of that, you really wouldn't want to lose any of it, what's already there. So the engineers have done an incredible job of retaining the trunk space that's there, even with this great mechanism. I've had a chance to drive this on the track and compare it to previous versions, and even though it's less power, this is actually quicker around the track. Even at 6'3", I actually fit in this Miata. I get a question quite often about, can you fit being a taller person? I fit very comfortably. I don't know how much taller you could get away with, but this is actually comfortable. It's basically the limit of every place that my legs could go up here, but the edges that they give for the center console and the dash are rounded here, so it doesn't dig into you. Thank goodness it's finally spring in Chicago. You know, if they'd given us this car a couple weeks ago, it was still really cold and rainy. This is the perfect kind of day to take a Miata out. Just like the soft top version we drove, this particular one is equipped with all of the safety and collision avoidance features that you might expect in a sedan, but they're available now in this little Miata sports car, which is really great. You've got lane departure warning, you've got low speed braking assist for collision avoidance, blind spot monitors. These are things you'd never imagine you could get in a Miata back when they were really just pure, simple sports cars. They've done all that without adding a bunch of weight and complexity. You still have the soul of a Miata, but with some great technology. One of the things you kind of give up going to this hardtop version is the ease of putting that soft top down. I mean, it really only takes a couple seconds. So you're trading off some convenience there for having a quieter ride, for having better weather resistance, better in the cold. But what happens when you're at a light and you want to put the top up or down? Maybe it's starting to rain, something like that. Well, we're going to try it out at a light here and see if we can do it during the light cycle. Okay, here we are at the red light. Let's see if we can do it. Boom, done. Plenty of time left. So now we've got the top up and the windows closed, and you can tell it's just way quieter in here than it would be in the soft top. And now it's still not, you know, as quiet as a proper coupe or sedan will be, but for an actual convertible, a car that you can drive with the roof down, incredibly quiet. Instead of pumping the sound through the speakers like some manufacturers are doing these days, which is actually a little bit of a pet peeve of mine, Mazda's actually created a snorkel off the intake that pipes some of the intake sound into the cowl here, so you get a little bit of a throatier sound. It's kind of a more pure way of doing it than putting it through the audio system. Corners are what a Miata is best at. There's really nothing not to love about the 2017 Mazda Miata. It's got all the performance you've come to expect from a Miata, with a great 2-liter Skyactiv engine and much lighter weight. Now Mazda's giving us even more to love with this gorgeous retractable fastback version. And truly, the answer really is always Miata. So yeah, I mean, this is a Mazda shirt and everything, and I've raced Miatas and won championships, but it's just a coincidence. It's just a really good car.